as I was saying, Joy Taylor, every dog has its day. And since I'm a big dog, I've got 2 days. Okay. So now.
You just called yourself a dog?
Yeah, I'm a dog. Yeah, I'm a big dog, a big one.
Kevin Durant is 6'11", who can pull up from 40. Okay. This brother is on that level. I'm talking about offensively.
Do you think you're better than Darrelle Revis is right now?
I'm better than you.
What up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another Lowdown Podcast episode. I'm your host, Mark Brown. As always, this is episode 72. I know it. I've been moving pretty fast. I'm only 28 episodes away from 100, and I told you I'm going to do a specialized episode that day, and you'll just have to wait and see. So I'm predicting I'll get to 100 by the end of May, early June, and that'll mark exactly 1 year since I first started on May 31st, 2019. So that'll be a perfect setting for a 100th episode like that. But no need to get carried away on that. So in this episode, I got a lot to say, as a matter of fact. I'm going to be talking about whether LeBron James got robbed or not this season due to coronavirus concerns and shutting down the NBA. We are, 2 weeks into this now? 2 weeks into, the cancellation of sports, and the coronavirus cases continue to climb. As a matter of fact, when I'm recording this episode, it's currently 6:47 p.m. Central Time, March 26, 2020. And the last time I checked, kind of like Nipsey Hussle, right?
Last time that I checked, it was 5 chains on my neck. It was no smut on my rep. Last time that I checked, I was selling zones in the set.
Yeah, the last time I checked, as a matter of fact, it showed that we surpassed China. So America has over 82,000 cases, and it's continuing to climb. It doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. I assumed that we were going to reach a peak this week, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's just getting uglier as we know it. And I'm just hoping this were to subside much sooner than ever. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody agrees with that because, everybody's on quarantine or lockdown or social distancing, whatever you call it. But the world, not just the country, the world is being altered as we know it. Our reality is being altered. But the best thing we can do is, like I said, wash your hands and continue to be safe and just, reach out to loved ones or friends or even, acquaintances that you met over the years and over time and make sure everybody's okay and obviously check on yourself too. But, yeah, so I'll be talking about LeBron, and I'll also be talking about some of these, I would say maybe the top 10 running backs in the NFL going into the 2020 season. I might as well make an early prediction, right? Because there's not really much going on when it comes to sports, but I'm just going to try what I can, right? So starting off, here it is. So LeBron James was actually making a run for a potential MVP award. I say potential, but it looks like the NBA. I don't think the NBA is coming back this year, but I say potential because he was right under Giannis Antetokounmpo, because when you looked at the poll results right before the cancellation, LeBron was less than 100 points behind Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then during the last games, I noticed that the weekend prior to that Wednesday of Rudy Gobert testing positive for the coronavirus, LeBron James actually had his best weekend of the 2019-2020 season. He had 37 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists whenever they defeated the Milwaukee Bucks over Giannis. And then the thing is, he put the clamps on Giannis Antetokounmpo. I actually talked about that on my NBA Headlines episode from March the 5th, as a matter of fact. So if you were to tune back to March 5th, I talk about that. I go more in depth about it. So LeBron, like I said, put up the best weekend, slowed down both Kawhi Leonard and Giannis. They were on a win streak. And obviously, if you were to look at the NBA standings prior to the coronavirus shutdown, the Lakers were the top seed, were the number 1 seed in the West by far. They were 49-14, and they were 5.5 games ahead of the Clippers. And as a matter of fact, they weren't really on the win streak. They were actually coming off a loss. They lost their last game before the cancellation, as a matter of fact. But the fact that they were 5.5 games ahead of the Clippers shows you that the Clippers were on a mission. Not the Clippers, but the Lakers were on a mission. And it just shows that the Bucks, see, again, it's just regular season. So, you can only go so far with predictions. But LeBron, on the other hand, the fact that he was a runner-up for MVP at that moment shows you, when was the last time LeBron won MVP? It's been a while, right? The last time LeBron James won MVP was back in 2013. I remember he won it back-to-back 2012 and 2013. And then the rest is history for the young cats. After that, it was Kevin Durant in 2014, Steph Curry in 2015 and 2016, Russell Westbrook 2017, James Harden in 2018, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, a.k.a. the Greek Freak, last year. So LeBron could have surpassed that, and if he were to win MVP, because he won back-to-back twice. He won back-to-back back in 2009 and 2010, and I already mentioned 2012 and 2013. So LeBron would have been a 5-time MVP. He was so close. He's a 4-time MVP as of now. I feel really bad for the guy because, as a matter of fact, he was a guest recently. I mean, this was actually posted by a Bleacher Report today. There was an article about LeBron James talking about the COVID-19 impact on, it was NBA's Road Tripping podcast. And I remember listening to it. And I remember like some of the most important things he said was, if the NBA were to return, it didn't look like it was likely until July 1st latest. And if you were to really think about it, that means that the NBA finals, if if the NBA commissioner Adam Silver decided to restart the NBA season, not restart, but say they were to, start where they left off, so begin where they left off, that means that the NBA finals wouldn't roll until the fall. And that wouldn't make any sense at all. Like, that would be a weird season, and that would overlap with the NFL. And then when it comes to ratings, the NFL is king when it comes to professional sports in America. So that would overlap, and it'd just be extremely weird to see the NBA playoffs going on during the start of college football and the NFL. That just wouldn't make any sense at all. That's never happened in history. That is completely unprecedented. But either way, Adam Silver was talking to Rachel Nichols not too long ago, and he said if the NBA if they just say worst case scenario, they're unable to, pick up where they left off, which I highly do believe that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to pick up where they left off. I'm thinking that they're just going to have to start another season. But if that were to happen, which is the best case scenario, the 2020-2021 season probably won't start running until December. So the season will begin in December, and it won't end until August of 2020, or December 2020 to August of 2021. And what LeBron was talking about in that podcast episode, he was saying that he just doesn't feel the need to actually, really pick up where they left off, because that means if they were to come back, and there'll be no fans, so they'll be playing without fans. And you already saw the post-game presser that he had a few weeks back, where LeBron was like, "I ain't playing." I mean, think about it. Like, his whole entire life, just about every basketball player you can think of, I say 100% of basketball players, all professional basketball players, played in front of a crowd, right? The only time they didn't play in front of a crowd, it was probably a small crowd, is when they scrimmage each other at the gym. Like, say you go to Lifetime Fitness, or even when they practice, like they just have press there. They have media there, but it's not going to be a full-on arena of people watching practice, right? So it'll be just like them practicing, and then the motivation probably won't be as great as it is when you're in the game, because you have that game adrenaline, and you have all these fans. And LeBron was talking about how the fans also push him to play harder. I mean, all players, because like say you're in the away team, say you're the away team, and you're playing. There's going to be fans talking trash left and right. It happens all the time. Look what happened to Russell Westbrook. It got the best of him against the Utah Jazz multiple times in his career, especially in the recent past. So when you hear a fan talking trash, you, as a player, you naturally want to shut them up, right, through your actions, right? So that's what LeBron wants to do. So LeBron said the fans are obviously crucial to them playing. I mean, everybody would agree with that. If you don't agree with that, then I don't know what is wrong with you. I mean, as a matter of fact, I would ask you, bro, what you on? Kind of like Iman Shumpert when he was on Hot 97. But again, no need to get carried away. So that was LeBron's personal statements and takes on the coronavirus impact. And he's never seen anything like this before. No players have seen anything like this before. For crying out loud, prayers should be up, honestly. For those that believe in God, I know I do. But for those who believe in God, or even if you don't, just you express your concern for Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, this man is the same age as me, as a matter of fact. Just a few days older than I am, as a matter of fact. And his mother, the last time I checked, this was yesterday. As of yesterday, I don't know about today. I didn't see any updates. But as of yesterday, his mother was in a medically induced coma due to the coronavirus really attacking her lungs. So it looked like she was slowly losing the battle with the coronavirus, but I hope that's not the case. I hope she's able to recover from this. I'm pretty sure. And I don't know how old his mother is, but either way, there's no way his mother's 65 unless he has an older sibling that's much older than he is, and I highly doubt that. So be careful out there. I mean, the coronavirus can do some damage to anybody, regardless of your age. Like, for those that think they're invincible, that's not going to happen to me. I'll probably get mild symptoms, which is true. I mean, chances are you will get the mild symptoms, but you never know. It's better to be safe than sorry. I mean, so it's better to not catch it all. It's better to try everything you can, because sometimes it's inevitable, right? But you should do whatever you can. Listen to the guidelines from the World Health Organization. Practice social distancing. Stay away from people. Keep washing your hands and sanitize everything. Wipe everything down. It's important. If you want to be healthy, follow those guidelines. So, again, as far as the NBA goes, And another question is, how would they even do the MVP awards, like the NBA awards? I wonder if they're even going to have one. If they do, I mean, chances are there's not going to be a crowd. So, and then how? So you're going to determine the games that the current games they had, because like I told you about the NBA standings. So if I do the math, the Lakers were 49-14. So what's 49 plus 14? If I do it on top of my head, 49 plus 14 is 63. So that's 63 games that they played. And that is 19 games off the regular season schedule. They play 82 games, and then they go into the playoffs with the top 8 teams, obviously, for each conference. So they were 14 games. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, they were 19 games, as a matter of fact. I don't know where I got the 14 from. They were 19 games short of the regular season. So the best they could do, the commissioner, Adam Silver, he'll just have to go off based off like who had the best stats and who played the best during those 63 games. I mean that's the best they can do. And another thing I forgot to bring up that was also important in the Road Tripping podcast when LeBron was on there as a guest. He was talking about he didn't feel the need. I mean, there'll be, because they were talking about considering jumping straight into the playoffs. So if the NBA were to return, they would jump straight into the playoffs instead of finishing out the regular season. LeBron agreed that would be unfair for all the teams, because there were teams that still had a shot. There were teams that were maybe three to four teams under the 8th seed at the current moment that still had a shot to make a playoff push. And with the NBA playoffs going straight to it when they return, if they were to return, would make that just would be completely unfair for those teams that were fighting for that spot. And that's what LeBron was advocating for. And I do not disagree with that at all. Now, as far as him getting robbed, I don't know. It's just too hard to even, determine that. I mean, he was playing an amazing season, but if you were to look at the numbers, he was averaging 25 points a game with the 63 games total that they played. Now, last year, he averaged 27 points a game. So, I mean, throughout his entire career, he averaged between 20 to 30 points a game. His best, like, when it comes to the points per game, his best average was his third season in his career, and that was back in the 05-06 season. He averaged over 31 points per game. And then he had another one back, kind of like DJ Khaled, right? But he had another season in the 07-08 with Cleveland. Both those seasons were with Cleveland. So back in 07 and 08, he averaged 30 points a game exactly. And he hasn't averaged 30 points a game ever since 2007, 2008. So it's been over a decade since the last time he averaged over 30. I mean, which doesn't really mean anything. This guy made 6 visits in the NBA Finals, 3-time champion. I mean, there's so many accolades that LeBron has. I mean, I can list out a few. Like I said, he's a 3-time NBA champion, 3-time NBA's most MVP. He's 4-time MVP, as a matter of fact. He's a 3-time Finals MVP. Don't get that twisted. And he's a 16-time All-Star, 3-time NBA All-Star, MVP. I mean, the list goes on. He won Rookie of the Year. I can go on and on about that, but you guys can do your own research on that. I'm just saying that LeBron had potential to possibly win a championship. It's too early to tell. They still had 19 games left. But at the same time, I told you the Clippers gave him a run. The Clippers were giving him a hard time. But like now, as far as, if you were to look at the 3rd seed through the 8th seed, they're in the current situation, it could have been anybody's bet. I mean, it was really close between the 3rd seed and the 8th seed, because, I mean, this was like mid-March when the NBA canceled. So, like I said, it's extremely difficult to determine who was going to go where. I mean, there was a few teams behind the Grizzlies who were the 8th seed that were just a few games behind. Like, that goes from the Trailblazers, Pelicans, and the Kings, even the San Antonio Spurs. Those guys could have possibly made a playoff push. I'm not saying they would have, but it was very possible it was a major possibility for any of them. But as far as, like, I told you, he's a 4-time MVP. Not many players have won the MVP award that many times. All I can think of is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan won it 5 times. He won in 1998, 1996, 1992, 1991, 1988. Those were all of them, right? That's 5 times. Kobe Bryant won it once. But again, Kobe Bryant's competition was LeBron. It was Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook. Derrick Rose was another one. Tim Duncan. I mean, he had Steve Nash. There were so many players that Kobe was going against that were a huge problem for Kobe. But obviously Kobe Bryant was an extreme problem or threat to every single one of those players that I listed. So there's my take on that. So that's enough I had to say about the NBA and about LeBron James. Like I said, it's really hard to determine whether LeBron got robbed or not, but it could have been a high possibility. I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad for all the NBA players. I mean, this was the first season. This was the first season after the major NBA free agency scenario or situation that we saw back during the summertime where everybody got traded left and right. I mean, that was incredible. And just seeing all these new faces on different teams, like, for example, like Russell Westbrook's the first one that comes to mind with going to the Rockets. I never saw the day, right? Played 11 seasons with Oklahoma City Thunder, and he had his first season with Houston, and he was clearly having a blast, was carrying that team, as a matter of fact. So that's all my personal takes and opinions on the NBA and whether LeBron James got robbed or not. I mean, I appreciate every single one of those guys. But so don't get it twisted. I might as well talk about – I did say I was going to talk about the top 10 running backs in the NFL going into 2020. So, I mean, instead, I don't want to make this episode too long. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that back to episode 73, where I talk about the not 73, but between 73 through 76. How about that? So sometime next week, I'll talk about the top 10 running backs heading into the NFL 2020 season. So that being said, I might as well go back to a few things with the NBA. I know I was talking about LeBron James, but I want to talk about a few other trending topics that happened besides Karl Anthony Towns and other things like that. So I did see recently that Steph Curry had a video chat with the America's famous doctor, Anthony Fauci. I don't know if I pronounced his name correctly, but Anthony Fauci did speak with Steph Curry earlier today about the coronavirus. He was giving him a brief summary about what it is and how dangerous it is, how much of a threat it is to everybody that exists right now, whether you're 0 years old, whether you're 1 minute old, whether you're 100 years old. Every person, every living being on this planet, every living human being on this planet is capable of catching the virus. You can be the richest man alive, you can be the poorest man alive. You are capable, everybody's equally capable of contracting the virus. I'll just put it that way. We've never seen anything like it before. And as contagious as it is, like there was even a tweet, as a matter of fact. I saw a tweet earlier today about, it was a tutorial video about how extremely dangerous or extremely contagious it is. They compared it to the flu. Now, the flu is highly contagious too, right? But based off those facts that they were spewing out, it showed that the coronavirus was actually more contagious than the flu, than the seasonal flu. Maybe because our antibodies, like our white blood cells, our body is just not used to a foreign object or a foreign microorganism like the coronavirus. Now, don't get it twisted. Coronavirus does produce the common cold. It does produce SARS and other stuff like that. But the new coronavirus I'm talking about, the one that's going on right now, that started in China and spread everywhere else in the world, right? So there's that. But again, I just wanted to say the NBA doesn't look too good right now when it comes to coming back. I mean, I told you, like, several players have been tested positive for it. Kevin Durant's one of them. I forgot to I brought that up recently. Kevin Durant was another player. I mean, I don't have any information on his current status, but the deadliest thing I saw was the Karl Anthony Towns situation. He doesn't have it, but his mother has it, and then even though the man doesn't know I exist, my concerns go out to him. I mean, think about it. How would you feel if your mother contracted the virus, right? And there's no need for me to get into that because it's pretty obvious. You would feel bad. So I don't need to go into that. But again, it just, like I said, it's impacted the world tremendously. Even if you watch sports shows, if you don't watch First Take on the regular, check it out tomorrow, right? Check it out tomorrow. If you were to watch First Take or Undisputed, everything is remote now. It's like the work from home method. Like Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, Molly Quorum Rose, everybody like Damian Woody or Booger McFarland, any ESPN or Fox personality, nobody's sitting next to each other. They're not sitting in a round table or a desk where they're debating sports. They're all talking sports away from each other. It's just remote. And like I said, it's impacting everything. So that's proof. You don't want, obviously, as a matter of fact, from what we know of, they're all healthy. Every single one of those personalities I just mentioned, they're all healthy, right? But this is the reason. The main reason why they're doing it remote, obviously, is social distancing. Plus, like as a major TV network, even for local TV, I work at a local TV station right now. And what I'm trying to say is, nobody on television wants to be hypocritical, right? You don't want to give people the impression that, hey, we're healthy, so we can hang out together. We can gather around the table and talk about whatever topic we're debating about. No, that's not the case. So in order to promote social distancing, every station, in my opinion, must do that. They must have their own segment or, have video chats where they're away from each other, working at different locations, because that's the best case scenario. And that's the best way. I feel like that's the best way to promote social distancing, especially for young people out there, people who are under age 20, right? Because And again, people who are under age 20 believe they're invincible. No, you're not, buddy. Nobody's invincible to this virus. Everybody is just as prone to catching it than any other individual. Now, obviously, if you have a compromised immune system, you're in worse shape. But like I said, anybody can catch it, though. But again, like I said, today's March 26th, right? The NBA announced their cancellation back on Wednesday, March 11th. And here we are 2 weeks and 1 day later. So 15 days later of no sports. And most recently, like I talked about on Monday, to Adrian Bazemore, who was an Olympic track sprint coach. The Olympics getting canceled. Well, not canceled, but postponed to next summer. Again, nobody's ever seen anything like this. Like I said, this is unprecedented for everybody that exists today. Unless you were 20 years old in 1944. And if you were 20 years old in 1944, you lived a long life. So there's that. But I did want to give out some good news. That was a lot of bad news, right? I did want to say something good real quick. Tell me something good. Sorry. There's just too many references that flow through my mind. Ridiculous. Okay, so since the self-isolation of March 11th in the NBA, I wanted to say that the Detroit Pistons forward Christian Wood has been officially cleared from the coronavirus. He tested positive. He was one of the few NBA players that we know of that tested positive of COVID-19. And he's been cleared. So he healed up. He's back to normal. And like I said, that's good news, right? So like I said, most young people are more likely to recover from it. And if they are suffering from it, they'll probably suffer, most likely, mild symptoms. But again, you do not want to test it. But again, before I go, just wanted to say this. I appreciate you guys listening to another episode that I decided to put out. And if you have been listening since May 31st, 2019, or even that, maybe if you're just now joining this show, I appreciate you guys. You can find this episode everywhere. I'm streaming on just about anything you can think of. It's not just one platform like Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Google Podcasts, plenty others, right? It's everywhere. YouTube's another one. It's everywhere. So you guys have every opportunity to listen to this podcast. I subscribe to it. Tell your friends about it. It's a lot of fun. I try to be as entertaining as possible. I try to give you as much knowledge as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, as a matter of fact. And if Jonathan Thomas, from the sports reporter for KXAN in Austin, Texas, if you're listening to this podcast, happy birthday. I wanted to say that. I've had you on the show multiple times. I wanted to tell you happy birthday. You're 32 years old, 32 years young, as a matter of fact. And like a champ. He's taking his birthday like a champ. I see, that's another thing. I feel sorry for people who are having birthdays at this moment, because you can't really do anything. I mean, now would be a bad time to get married. Now would be a bad time to have kids. I mean, you're born into the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, for these kids who are born today or anytime around this pandemic, when you get older, you can say, hey, I'm a pandemic baby. I don't know. Would that be the new generation? Okay, no room for jokes. But that was pretty ridiculous. But I just wanted to put that out there. Again, thanks for listening to this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys again next week. And take care of yourselves. All right, peace.